Hello everyone, my name is Alok Rathore and this is season 4 of the Afflatus. On the show today with me there is Sherley Soraya. Sherley Soraya is a senior UX designer at JPMorgan Chase based in New York. Prior to joining JPMorgan Chase, she was with UBS Wealth Management as a UI UX designer. Originally from Indonesia, Sherley earned her master's degree at Pearson School of Design and bachelor's degree at Suffolk University, majoring in graphic design. She mentors students and young professionals in digital design and frequently collaborates with fashion and skincare brands on her social media. Welcome to the show, Shirley.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here.
Thank you. Great. So you work as a UX UI designer with JP Morgan Chase. Explain me the difference between UX and UI.
Yeah, absolutely. So a lot of people they cannot differentiate one with another. So let's dissect one by one. So UX stands for user experience. So it refers to the user journey, user flow on how a person or user interact with the product, services, or goods. For the challenges for the UX designers is that what is the pain point when the users they face this product, how can we do better? But then for UI, it stands for user interface. It refers to the visual guideline, brand guideline, and then the challenges for UI designers is that how can they make it more ADA compatible to ensure for people who has low contrast, high color for the eye. So as you can see, both of them, they are very crucial to build a good product.
Okay, great. Yeah, I think that's a good understanding of like how UX and UI differs. How did you first get interested in UX UI design?
Yeah, so in 2014, when I was in my bachelor degree of graphic design, so I was very feeling overwhelmed because I was working when I was in my senior year. I was working on the side as a freelance. That a lot of my clients were giving me a lot of subjective feedback for the changes. So that's where I feel like, okay, I should step back and see my portfolio. What are the many projects I did that made me really, truly enjoy it? And then that's where I found out that, application design, that is my hobby. So that's where I tried to find intro classes to UI UX. Back then, I took General Assembly for $140, but that is very worth it. Yes. So it's just per day class. When I took that class, I remember I was feeling very insecure because a lot of professionals, and then I was the youngest, and then it is a very niche job. So, but then in that class, I learned Sketch software, low fidelity, Sketch, high fidelity. From that class, I learned a lot. And then after I went back home, I called my mom. Mom, I want to take master's degree in UI UX. So that's where I start to apply Parsons. That's also my dream school. And I applied there. Lesson learned, don't apply only one university. Try to apply more than one.
Yeah.
So I waited. And then in the next 2 months, I got a reply, which is good that they like my resume. So I got scholarship from there. So that's where I moved to New York to start my journey as a UX designer.
Okay, yeah, that's great. Yeah, definitely agree that you should apply to more than one school.
Yes.
Because it's like if you put all your eggs in one basket, it's just like you never know what you might get rejected on because
Exactly.
it's such a holistic process, and you would have great scores, great GPA, like great portfolio, great resume. There might still be something that won't work out in your favor. So
Agree.
Always hedge your bets. You mentioned General Assembly. Like that word caught my attention. What exactly is General Assembly?
So a lot of people, if they want to pivot of their job, that most of them, they want to learn more data science, UI UX, or coding. It's a good for them to pivot or to just to get a head start. They don't have to take official university classes, but they can take like a short mini classes. So a lot of people, they graduate and they work big companies from this. So I thought this is a very good opportunity for them to take these classes.
Okay. But still, like, what is General Assembly? Like, what exact? Is it like a course? Is it like?
It's a very intensive boot camp. So about 12 weeks program.
And where does it happen?
It's they do have it here in New York. It depends. I think one program will take about 12 weeks, but I'm not sure. It depends on the day. Mm-hmm.
Cool. All right. So my next question to you is, when you work on a particular project, what kind of research methods do you use?
The most common research that is used when working on a project, there are qualitative research, quantitative research, usability testing, survey, user interview. So those are the most common method that is used. But just a side note, most of these principles is that UX researchers do it for UX designers. But then some startups that they, due to the budget, they combine of this two jobs to the UX designers only.
Yeah.
But then for me, on my day-to-day basis, my UX researchers help me out to compile the data to help me to navigate to build a better product from this research and data.
Right. So you are basically handed a set of research results, and then you use that into building your design.
Correct.
Right.
They work side by side.
Good. Do you notice some, like, are there any particular research data issues that you tend to like encounter from time to time? Like, data collection could be like a very tricky process, right? Like, do you like, what kind of questions do you usually pose when you feel like maybe something is not right with the result of this data?
So what we do usually is that we, as for sure in companies, we would say, can we do further research on this? But then a lot of projects that I've been working on is very tight on time and budget. So most of them, what they do is that they put spike on the Jira ticket on this, and then we just say, can we do more further research? For example, if we do usability testing, and then from there we gather more users for us to do another interview from this, and then that's where we can dissect more deeper to more detailed data.
Okay, yeah, perfect. That makes sense. Is there any particular UX UI project that has really inspired you?
I'm a big fan of smart home.
Smart home?
Smart home. I love Roomba, smart speaker. One of my goals is to have one whole of my home with smart appliances, and then voice user interface, which is these smart speakers, and also smart cars, because I feel like they have more next level UI UX production because they integrate sensors and data metrics that is way ahead. It's very different when you're designing a tablet or mobile or desktop.
Yeah. Yeah, I think, when you look at like the user interface of Tesla or like, an iPhone or even like Alexa home devices, right? Like it's very, very clean, very defined, and like properly spaced out. Everything is bright, and like, it's a very appealing, very inviting environment. I was watching this show called Mr. Robot, right? And it has a scene where like there's a woman, like she's working at this like huge tech company, very like, futuristic house, like everything is sensor and like switch and like voice command based. But then like hackers get hold of it and like just make her life miserable. Like, the water temperature goes up, the AC shuts down, and like, they keep messing with like her television and everything. So that's a bit scary. But I mean, yeah, I think in terms of like pure visuals that these, devices provide, I think like that is really cool.
Just a mini note to that, especially sometimes in Asia when there is no internet, it will be very interesting, right?
Yeah. Great. So I think one of the requirements for a lot of people to become a UX UI designer is to have a portfolio, right?
Mm-hmm.
What has been your approach to building your portfolio?
This is one of the most very important question and answer that most of my young professionals and mentees often ask me. I always tell them to build a strategy from this. So the first step is that do your research. Really look up your senior or lead designers at big companies or major startups. What can you learn from them on how they build their case studies, and then learn on why makes them stand out. And then look up for portfolio awards. You can learn a lot from there. So do your research. Second is that write manual documentation or notes. Why I highly suggest this, so that you can focus 100% for you to be able to edit out your notes a lot. And then because the main focus of UI/UX is the process, the story that you want to write down. Every person wants to know what makes you smart on how you deal your problems.
Yeah.
So, always remember there's the intro, the middle, and at the end. The intro, a quick tip, the intro put down what is the project is about, who's working on this project, what is the timeline, and then what software do you use. And then for the middle is that write the story of what problems that you're facing, what you have learned. And then for the closing, put what is your impact as a designer for this project, and write what will you do differently if you have more budget or more time. So that's for the manual writing. And then the third one, use a paid platform for website hosting. For example, Squarespace, Wix, they're very helpful. They have a big team of professionals for them to build this website, they design for responsive tablet, phone. So it will save a lot of time so that you can focus more on your case studies. And then the last point is that get feedback. It's very crucial for everyone is learning. All of the very expert designers. So it's very crucial for you to grab someone that you know that is professionals or mentors. Ask them, what do you think of this? What should I improve from this? From there, you can gather different perspective from you.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Would you be open to reviewing people's portfolio?
Yeah, of course. I do that a lot.
Reach out to Sherley with your portfolio if you're looking to be a UX UI designer. Great. Okay. Since UX UI is a very dynamic industry and it keeps evolving with every new technology or every new design approach, what are some of the emerging trends in the industry that you're excited about?
It's a very big this year. I'm pretty sure everyone knows artificial intelligence, AI, or machine learning. We UI UX designers, we predict that the next few years or even the end of this year, there'll be a lot of platform that they offer to help us designers. We believe that it will not replace us, but then we can get support from there. So it's a very big trend. And the last one is the no-code, low-code software that I believe corporations will use to develop product in faster time rate. So yeah, that's the emerging trend that I see.
Interesting. Yeah. I had a question I was noticing that Figma was acquired by Adobe.
Yes, that's very, very huge news.
So, I've never used Figma.
Mm-hmm.
I know Adobe, but I don't really like Adobe softwares. I'm more of Apple native software kind of guy. But apparently a lot of people had a lot of opinions when that news came out. Some people were really happy and some people were concerned that, Adobe will ruin Figma's the intuitiveness of the software and things like that. What is your opinion on like that acquisition?
It was definitely very surprising. I did tell my team it's a big news. We are just concerned that because Figma was used to be a private company,
Yeah.
and then while, as you know, sometimes corporations tend to have more restrictive in terms of the budget and the business goals.
Yeah.
So, good thing that we have not heard anything, but we are predicting that there will be changes in terms of subscriptions.
Okay.
Yeah. And Adobe is huge on that.
That's great. What is the difference between the UX design and other design principles?
Yeah. From my perspective, other design disciples tend to, as an artist, you want to convey what you feel to the audience. But then while for UX design, we are seeing from the audience or the user perspective itself.
Yeah.
So from that different perspective, I think it answers your question. But then for UX design, we want to tackle more as a user, how can we improve the experience to be even better?
Yeah.
And how we can dissect them to build a data on how to design and to help them to use this product even better.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. We spoke about like the low code softwares and like the AI presence in the UX UI industry. Of course, like ChatGPT is a current hot topic discussion. Like if you're remotely related with tech, you know what that is, right? How do you anticipate like that to play a role in the UX UI design? Do you think at some point in future, I don't know if you could do this right now, I've not tried it, but do you think at some point in future you could write in a prompt that says like design a portfolio that solves this particular problem, and it gives you like the whole rundown of it with like images and ideas and everything?
Of course.
Okay.
No doubt on that. Of course. But what it'll be great to see, what I always highlight on the AI, is that always see them as a helping hand, because I believe that technology will always keep on evolving,
Yeah.
but then human interaction will never be replaceable on that. So because a lot of people, they cannot interact with, some people they have limitations using the technology.
Yeah.
So that, and then with human interactions, they're giving more extra support for these people. So as a UX designers, we believe that it's always good to have both ways. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Do you think AI is going to take over the world? Like it will go full Skynet mode and like, it'll just like be beginning of like something crazy. Maybe ChatGPT 5.
I'll be honest, probably because I work a lot with software developers, I think they're more skeptical because they can write codes now, very detailed. But it's interesting to see how it goes later on. I'm very interested.
Yeah. Okay. Now, in terms of like, what inspires you to create your designs?
For me, I like to see it more. I like to do a lot of research and gather data before I start on something. I like to collect a lot of documentation, and then what is the project goal, and then the business objective, whether users what problems that we can solve in order for users to use this, and then what can differs from competitors wise. So I would love to see it from not as a creator, but I would love to see it myself as a user. What are the important aspects for me to really use this design or project? So from that perspective, it will be very helpful to build a product.
So it's essentially looking at like the quantitative data and then like matching that or like pairing that with the problem that you're trying to solve.
Yes.
Right? Like, so it begins with data and then you use that to inform that, okay, what should be my approach here if I'm trying to solve like, whether like your company's or like the customer's problem, right?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Are you ready for a controversial question?
I'm ready.
What's your favorite font and why?
Oh, no.
Before you answer, let me just warn you, you might get cancelled for this. So.
I'm sorry to my fellow designers. It will take me a long time because there's a lot of pros and cons to this, but I would say Bebas. No, yeah, I'm sorry. It's just another font, but yeah, I'm sorry, my fellow designers. That's my favorite font. But yeah,
Pebbles?
Bebas.
Bebas?
Yeah.
Spell it?
Bebas.
Bebas.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Is it more like cursive or like more like Helvetica Times New Roman kind of font?
It's sans serif, so which is very different from Times New Roman.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's very, I'm getting more specs heavy, but yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Great. So, what would your advice be to somebody who is, either considering to go to school to study UX UI design or has like freshly graduated and like looking to work in the UX UI industry?
I had a mentee that was on this moment. What I encouraged to them is that if you're an international student, it'll be great for you to take more official degree for your work visa. But then if you don't have any limitations on this, you have more flexibility. But then from both of this perspective, it's very helpful for them before they get to the industry, try to reach out to professionals or look for a mentor and then ask them what is the day-to-day is like, what is the project that they're working on, what is the team aspect approach, so that try to know or mimic an application, a design, so that you can get a grasp on what is it like. Because a lot of people, I noticed that once they get to the industry, they don't like it, so that it'll be great to know a grasp of that. Okay, so this is how we work, whether you like it or not. So from there, it doesn't matter if you're taking intensive bootcamp or official degree, but then definitely by talking to people and then learn from internet or learn from people will help a lot.
Okay. Yeah, I think that's a good advice. Are you ready for another controversial question?
Bring it on.
Okay. I like your spirit. So, do you think somebody could be a successful UX UI designer without like going to school to get a degree for it? Like, do you think it's something that you could self-learn and like build your portfolio and you like work your way into the industry, or is it strictly like you need to have some sort of like college education to enter?
Of course, I was expecting more controversial, but this one
wait until like all the comments roll in. So
I love this question. For me, actually, the beauty of UI UX is that you don't need to have an official degree. A lot of people that I look up, they don't have an official degree. They learn it by themselves, and then they learn from the best people. We are always kept on learning. So intensive bootcamp or official degree is just for more supporting to help you out, an extra additional. But then for you to be able to study by yourself, that's the beauty of UX, definitely.
Okay. And typically like going to college for UX UI degree, is it expensive?
For Parsons, what I took for master is only 1 year, and then I got STEM OPT for it. But I believe the other schools, they offer for 3 years, which is more expensive. But I believe that intensive bootcamp, it's less than that. But then again, the pro for you to take official degree, you can get work visa from there. STEM OPT, yeah.
How is it working as a UX UI designer for JPMorgan Chase different from, like, let's say working for a software development company or a marketing agency?
Oh, I see. Are you asking for bigger marketing agency? What is?
Yeah, I mean, think of like some big advertiser, big advertising agency.
For advertising agencies, they tackle. I believe that the designers required to able to shift their way of thinking from different projects to different projects. But then for what I do at GPM is that the way they handle it, one designers handle one application software, so that we handle, or we are the lead designers for this project, so that our focus is not scattered or more like really easy to deep dive. But then the beauty of you to work at agencies, you learn a lot. You can, because you deal with different stakeholders, you different on different pain points, problems. So both of them, they have their own beauty to it. So, but for now, I really like on what I'm doing.
Yeah. So what I'm catching is, like, with a marketing agency, you can go wide, where like you can have a certain set of skills or design approaches and like do different variations of it. Whereas with like JPMorgan, it's like, okay, you have a certain thing like a software or a set of skills, but you can go like really deep into it, right? Okay, yeah, I think that's great. Are there any like defined guidelines for like UX UI designer in different industries, in terms of, like, let's say the color scheme that is used, or like the font that is used, or like the layout for things that you work on?
For corporations, there are visual designers or UI designers that is designed specifically to work on this brand guideline.
Yeah.
They have to care another problems: color contrast, typography, button sizes. Is it readable? Is it clickable? And then the different sizes for a lot of tablets, mobile. But then for UX, it focused mostly on how to solve one specific product or user journey. So they have their own specific roles.
Okay. Yeah. When I used to work with JP Morgan in India, I used to design a lot of pitch books for them, right? That has all the financial data that investment bankers would then use to pitch to like stakeholders to like land a deal, right? And the guidelines were very strict, like, in terms of like what should be the layout, what should be the font size, what should be the color that you use. And I mean, sometimes it's difficult to make out a differentiation between like blue and light blue because it's very subtle. But because like when you print it, it looks different because of the paper and the ink and everything. You have to be like a bit more careful. I mean, I used to get like a lot of heat for that, okay, you used blue, but you didn't use the right blue. I'm like, what do you mean? So then they would explain that, oh, there's this like RGB gradient thing that you could use to like numerically check that, okay, is this all like, the defined proportion that we have for our guidelines. So there was like a whole sheet that had like a quick guidelines that if you're making this kind of a layout for this particular pitch book, use this color, this font, and this kind of like alignment.
What's interesting, when I work at UBS and GPM, they have different they have two guidebook on this. One is the internal facing, or internal, for example, financial advisors, investment bankers. They have different colors guideline compared to the client facing, which is like Chase. They have, I believe that mostly for client facing, they care more about the aesthetic wise, because they have to care what it's like for printed. They have to ensure that more. So yeah, they always have different brand guidelines.
Okay, yeah, I think that's great. Now, You also mentor a lot of students and industry professionals, or like people who are trying to get into the industry. What inspired you to be a mentor?
My goal is that I believe that everyone has to have a mentor and you should have a mentee. My goal is just to help fellow designers because I know that UI UX industry is very niche. So by what I offer is that by helping out other designers, you're also helping out yourself because the best learning for you as a person is to teach someone else. So it's not only benefit to them, it's also benefit to you. And also for you to look for a mentor because they're way a step ahead of you. So you can get to know what is the next step, that what is good for you.
Yeah. No, I agree with that because, the best way to learn is to teach, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the more you do that, the more perspectives you get from people that, hey, why are we doing this or why are we doing that, right? And that might give us an insight into like, hey, I've never thought about like this particular approach or this particular angle. And since this person is like really fresh, really new, they don't understand like, the context behind that. And there could be like a legitimate, approach or like a thing that you have not tried, but might make you aware of it through like mentoring people, right?
Correct.
And as you said, it's like I would say like it's an equal exchange of like value and understanding so that you learn in the process your fundamentals and your approaches become more clear, but they also get an insight from a professional that is part of the industry. So I think that's pretty cool. Now, you have built like a good presence on your social media, and that has led to a lot of collaborations with skincare brands. How did you decide on like what was your journey of like building your own personal brand and then like having those collaborations?
One of my hobby is photography, and I thought it will be nice to do what is different from your day-to-day job that is very different from digital design. So one of my hobby is skincare and fashion. So I try to find on my account what makes me happy. So I try to look up on how other skincare influencers do it, and then I thought, okay, so and then I did my own research. I bought a lot of my skincare brands. So that's where I try to teach people, and then what's good for me. But then every person has different skin types. So from a lot of posting, and then that's where different brands, they reach out to me and they ask, hey, do you want to collaborate? So that's where we start to. They send me items to promote, but then as a content creator, you have to let the people know that is a affiliated, a collaboration product.
Yeah,
that's very important. So I always put that on my Instagram account. So that's where it starts. So that's what I've been working on the site for fun.
Okay, yeah, that's great. Any product that you would recommend to like make my skin smooth and silky?
I have to take a look.
Okay, cool. Yeah, you can have a look after we're done with this. Yeah, I guess one more question that I have for you is that how do you relax? Like, what do you do for fun? How do you unwind from a long day of work?
Good question. Because this year was a bit tough because I multitask a lot of things.
You mean previous year, 2022?
Oh.
Or this year? You mean
both.
2023?
Both.
Okay, both.
Because every time after work, I have to work on the mentor-mentee, and then I have to work on my Instagram. So what I do sometimes, I work out. I try to work out to kind of refresh my mind and have some kind of like anxiety and everything, but it helps a lot. I wind down by working out.
Okay.
Yeah.
And attending my house parties. So. I'm hoping they are fun for you. So
yeah, it was
great.
Look forward.
Thank you so much for tuning into the episode. We have a lot of exciting guests lined up for the podcast. Also, leave in the comments if you would like to see somebody featured on the show. Subscribe to the channel.